So the next person I'm introducing, I'm really, really excited about. He's a member of my wider team. He's from Port Elizabeth, Gqeberha. He is a man of incredible integrity, a more honest and upstanding man you will not find. It's been a pleasure having him in my team for the last couple of years. He's actually a commercial broker. He deals on multi-million rand deals. He's also a wonderful mentor to many people across South Africa and a trainer, an official trainer for a very large South African company, which I'm sure he'll share with you. He's an investor in property. He's got multiple residential properties. He invests in commercial property. And it's just an absolute pleasure having him in my team. Jade Barkhuysen, please come up on stage.
How's it, guys? How are you guys doing? Geez, I was worried. I was sitting there. I was hoping I was going to get a standing ovation as well, but my nerves are a bit better now. And I certainly didn't pay James to say those things, James, but thank you so much for those kind words. Where's my PE people? Let's put your hands up. Yeah. So PE, Port Elizabeth, Gqeberha, GQ, we do go by many, many names. And one of them is the Windy City. Who's ever been to PE? Just hands up for me. Yeah, so you've experienced that. So last week, Thursday, I experienced this once again. Now, I will just admit, I'm a little bit of a nervous flyer. Outside, cool, calm, and collected, but inside, I'm panicking. So anyway, I get to the airport, we walk onto the runway, we go onto this escalator, it's got the wheels, and you're walking up, and it's shaking, and I'm trying to jump into the plane sort of thing. And I'm in row 30, right at the back. And they close the door at the back, and I just hear this massive bang. Now, have you guys watched Final Destination? Yeah, that series of movies. It's like a guy's jogging and this metal object flies past his head. And he's like, wow, that was close. And he carries on jogging. But you're watching the movie and he's like, dude, you need to go home. Just go climb in your bed. So it was one of those moments where I thought, Jade, you need to get off this plane. You need to get off right now. So I hear this bang. And what had happened is the flight of stairs had blown over, almost taken out the left wing of the aeroplane. And the accelerator had gotten stuck on this thing. And it was revving at like 15,000 RPM. And there's smoke coming over the plane, into the plane. Everyone's starting to talk and chat. And I'm on the other side of the plane. I don't know what's happening. And I'm thinking, Jade, you need to get off this plane. So a lady next to me says to me, is the plane on fire? And I look at her and I say, no, the plane's not on fire. Now, there's two words you don't say on a plane. It's fire and bomb, right? Anyone knows this. You don't have to train anyone to know that. So I say, no, lady, it's not on fire. And as I say, I'm thinking, it probably is on fire because I can see and smell smoke. So the next thing that comes to mind, you remember that show called Gladiators? Probably like 20 years ago. And it had old Cyril Mitchley, the cricket umpire, standing there. Gladiators, are you ready? So I'm looking down this corridor, and no one had stood up yet, but everyone's panicking. And I'm thinking of the gauntlet. You know, they used to have the gladiators all pumped up or juiced up, and the civilians are running through, and they're knocking them out of their shoes type of thing. And I'm looking down the corridor, Jade, the quickest 40-meter dash you've ever done in your life. But you also don't want to be that guy that gets up first and panics, right? So anyway, that was my reminder of how windy PE can be. Can you guys guess if I flew or drove here? Oh, obviously, took a little drive. Okay, guys, so a little bit more about myself. And James, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I am a commercial property broker, so I predominantly focus on procurement rentals and also commercial property sales. I'm also an investment coach in property. So lovely to work with different people across the country in different situations, and it's an absolute passion of mine to coach in property investing. I was lucky enough to be a finalist in the 2019 SA Investor of the Year Awards. Anyone can actually enter that competition. You just do judging. If you've done a deal, you can actually enter. There's one coming up end of this year. And when I started out in property, I didn't have any money, so I had to learn, and Brad, you resonated with me when you mentioned Robert Kiyosaki. I had to learn how to do creative finance because I didn't have money. Did you know that you can buy a property without your own money and without the bank's money? A lot of estate agents don't know that, and I think it's important to know that we are in the industry, and if you can learn property investing the right way, guys, you can build substantial wealth over and above your EXP business. So there's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity, and I was blessed enough to win an award last year in November through EXP, most units sold and most gross commission. That was a little bit lucky because 6 of my deals registered in 1 month. So I'll frame that and you know, I see Lizna and them and Andre and Lydia and them winning awards like that. I'm typically not the best selling agent. James knows this. He employed me before he moved to EXP. But I do have a heavy focus on property investing and I really, really enjoy it. So I thought I'd do a little timeline for you guys. So I matriculated in 2005, finished school down in PE. Loved sport. I lived for sport. It was rugby, cricket, motorsport. I was obsessed. I was actually a very solid student at school academically as well, a solid C student. That was mostly D's, but what I did remember from school is you can actually round up, so we'll call the D's a C. We'll round it up to C's. Anyway, so as a lot of young boys leaving school, I wanted to pursue a career in rugby. That was really my passion since I was small. So in 2006, I moved to Durban, KZN, Andrew, your country, or your province. And did a stint at the Sharks Rugby Academy for 3 years, and also studied. So I went into a BCom marketing degree. I didn't get too far in that, in all honesty, really just partied and played rugby pretty much. But you very soon realize when you go for professional sport that it's not as easy, you get injured. It's really a difficult journey to follow. Then in 2010, so this stage I turned a 3-year BCom marketing degree into a 5-year BCom marketing degree, and then I still didn't finish it. But I got the opportunity to go into business, and I went into business in the motor industry. You know, not agter die ore sê in Afrikaans, totally green, went into a business with 10 staff, because I just thought, you know, I'm not going to get anywhere with my degree. It's a general degree, so let me go into business. So that was a massive, massive learning curve, and let me tell you, university doesn't prep you for all the things you go through owning a business. Any business owners here, they're usually a bit more grey than the rest of us. I'll dye my hair. Next year I don't. Anyway. And then I purchased my first rental property. And the agent that sold me this rental property is actually one of my best mates. And it took him 2 years to join EXP. But eventually he joined the winning team. And he's sitting right here. Glenn, welcome. Round of applause for Glenn Bradfield, everyone. So yeah, he sold me my very first property. And around that time is when I really got an interest in property. And Brad, you mentioned Robert Kiyosaki. I didn't get the honor of meeting him, but I read all his books, like every single book I could find. And it really just changed my mindset to a legacy mindset, which is the theme of this evening. It's building passive income. It's creating a life for your family that most people can't create. And that to me was property in a nutshell. Because I always saw in the commercial property space, it's always these big guys, they always own property. Have you guys noticed that? Like the big business owners, they've got ample properties because they're always investing in how do they do that, how do they make money. I was always interested to learn how to do that. Then I met my wife, my lovely wife, and our story does differ slightly on the night we met, but I thought she was quite in love. You can always ask her story, but I think that's how it went. I then attended a life-changing seminar. I went to a 2-day property workshop. Guys came down, it was a UK-based company, they came down to PE, talking about property investing. And Glenna, you were there with me, that was in 2017. And that weekend I realized that property is for me. Not specifically being an agent at that stage, I still had my business, but I knew property was for me. And I just plowed in hours and hours of learning where to find deals, how to put in offers, how to structure your OTPs so you can protect yourself as an investor. There's many things you can do. How to work with estate agents, because it's a big challenge for some investors to work with agents and other way around, right? Coming with these cheeky, ridiculous offers. But when you get a deal, it's a good deal. I then got a property coach, and he's also actually here, and he joined EXP. Okay, he was my first property coach in 2017. Dave, where you at? Yeah, round of applause for Dave, my first property coach. So he actually joined EXP about 2 months ago. So that's awesome having you on board, Dave. And then within 3 months, I did my first property flip. And that's really when the bug bit. I spent like 60,000 Rand on this coaching package. And I remember my girlfriend at the time was like, Jade, you are completely nuts. 60 grand on my credit card. I just believed I was going to do it. And luckily, within 3 months, I flipped the property, made enough profit to pay off that credit card. And that was really where my journey started. And then carried on doing flip deals because I needed the capital. And then about 12 months later, that same company approached me to start coaching beginner investors. And man, that was a wonderful, wonderful time in that education space. And I'm still doing that to this day, what I'm really, really passionate about. Okay, and then as fate would have it, Ferdy, your story definitely resonated with me a lot. I also lost everything. So I did a business deal in the motor trade, a business deal that went sour, and within 3 months, I lost everything. Now, this was a very, very dark time in my life, not just because of load shedding, but it was a massive physical, mental, emotional challenge. I'd never been through anything like that. And you almost can't explain it to people, the emotions you go through. Self-esteem's low, no self-confidence. I didn't have any income. I didn't have any assets except for the home we lived in. And it was just a very, very scary time. I remember the worst day of my life was the day that I called my staff in, and at that stage I had 25 employees. And I had to look them in the eye and tell them that the doors are closing this afternoon and tomorrow they don't have a job. Let me tell you guys, you never want to experience that. I still think about that day to this day. And they got families, so that was very, very difficult for me. And the second thing I thought, I was always very scared of getting married, and my wife will tell you that. Because I always thought when you lose everything, how do you know that your spouse stays with you? Right? If you don't have anything, how do you know they're going to stay with you? Don't ask your spouse that now. I don't want to ruffle any feathers. But that was a concern of mine, and she really carried me through. Financially, she supported me, and it was just an eye-opener to see how she backed me through this time when I couldn't see the light, guys. I really couldn't see the light. Because when you're at that stage, right, you've got two choices. You can go the route of misery and poverty, give up, and just become a nobody, or you can show some character and guts and actually fight your way out when you can't actually see the light, guys. And I think as estate agents, we often go through that, right? You might not have commission coming in, you feel like it's the end of the road, and somehow the universe just gives you another deal. So if you believe in yourself and you have faith, guys, you can do absolutely anything you set your mind to. And of course, EXP gives us a wonderful vehicle to achieve all our goals. Okay, then I got married, obviously the best day of my life. Took me through some heavy times there, love, so hopefully I can repay you over the next few years. But what a wonderful time. And we got married during that COVID period. So it was like we're inviting people, and then you couldn't have any weddings. And then like a 2-week gap opened, and then you can get married again. So we found like a 2-week little window, and only half the people could make it. We said, no, we're getting married now. We're quite interesting. But the guys don't really stress too much about the weddings. I was just sort of sitting there back and, waiting. Yeah, love, we can just get married whenever. And then, before I even joined EXP, I met James Conyers. During that period when I lost the business, an acquaintance of mine said, well, why don't you go speak to James? Very respectable individual in the property game, and I wanted to be in property. And James gave me a lifeline. I think we just got along from the first day. And James gave me an opportunity as a commercial broker at his agency called NRG Properties. And that was an absolute blessing. I started going for interviews. I'd never worked a job in my life. I'd never had a boss. So I was just going for these interviews with nothing behind my name except being able to run a business. And James gave me a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. And because of his vision, I'm involved with EXP. James, I really want to thank you because you've affected so many people's lives in your team. And it's been such a positive impact on everyone's lives. So thank you very, very much. So why EXP for me, guys? So I was in the property investing space, and I still am. But when I looked at EXP, I was like, that just makes sense. I can do what I've always been doing, but I can build wealth at the same time over and above the properties that I'm investing in. Everything just fitted so nicely. So create another passive income stream. Who owns rental properties here and has tenants? Okay, it's not such a passive income stream, is it? You're getting phone calls at 2 o'clock in the morning, the geysers burst, and someone's broken into the house. It's a full-time job. It's a business that you have to run. But EXP revenue share, guys, is so much more passive, let me tell you, than a rental property. I'm not saying don't invest in property, but it really is. I work for myself, so I don't have a boss. I always enjoyed that. Good comms split and capping opportunity. I haven't capped yet. I'm probably the only person that hasn't capped on the stage, but don't worry, my renewal's only in October. I will cap. Don't you guys worry about that. And I must also just brag, guys. So when I saw this EXP opportunity, my wife wasn't very happy in corporate. She had worked corporate for a very, very long time. And last year, March, we decided together that she's going to quit her corporate job. We're going to take a leap of faith, and she's going to come into property with me as an estate agent. And yeah. And she has averaged, in her first year of property, she sold a property a month. So I'm so grateful, and she has been absolutely wonderful. Well done, Stace. Well done. And of course, US dollar-based shares, guys. I promise you, just see these dollars climbing and climbing and climbing. And I'd never owned shares in my life. I'd never owned dollars in my life. Never been to America. And I think for a South African, that is such a nice add-on. And they literally give you shares. Guys, they give you shares by just building the EXP business. I mean, isn't that amazing? So here's just a few pictures. That's the first property I bought. Clina, you remember that one? Yeah, a good agent made that sale. We got a few student accommodation properties. Students are a different breed. I think we were all there at one stage, but damn, they're hard to manage. So still in that game. And then this is the most recent deal I've done. This was actually an old commune in PE, and we converted it into 17 self-contained flatlets. And it took us about 4 months to redevelop this property. And we've got 16 out of the 17 units full. So I'm really, really excited about this deal and looking for more. Please follow me on all the socials, if you will. That'll be awesome. And then I'd like to leave you with this quote, guys. It's from a book by Napoleon Hill called Think and Grow Rich. Anyone ever read that book? That book literally changed my life. It's all about the subconscious, how you think, setting goals, having faith, and working towards them. So whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve, guys. If you're sitting here in a dark space, I promise you, keep telling yourself, surround yourself with the right people, the people in this room, and you will make it. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Steve, James, thank you, guys.